So hey guys, if you watched our last part of this video, we talked about Harry Potter 7 Part 1, kind of how that was Josh's favorite film of that year. Seth and I talked about our favorite films of 2010 also. And to start off with 2011, it's perfect because we actually, my favorite film and Josh's favorite film of that year was Harry Potter 7 Part 2, the continuation of Harry Potter 7 Part 1. And Seth's favorite film of that year was the film that actually won Best Picture for 2011, which was The Artist. So because we just got done talking about Harry Potter, it would only be right to continue more about Harry Potter. So I'll start with that. I thought Harry Potter 7 Part 2 was probably easily my favorite Harry Potter film. I thought they concluded things perfectly. The special effects not only was great again, but it was almost revolutionary like it was in Iron Man 1. Very emotional, a lot of depth to it. I liked how there was a lot of references to the earlier installments, like the Chamber of Secrets was revisited. The snake from Part 7 was revisited. Basically, it summed up the series the way one would want it to. And I think even J.K. Rowling said herself that is one of her favorite Harry Potter films. They brought the trolls back, and even though the trolls weren't in the 7th book, it was great to see the trolls all the way back from Part 1 return for the last installment. Just a really well done, excellent film. What did you think of it, Josh?
Yeah, I thought it was an excellent film too, and the battle between Harry Potter and Voldemort was epic, so I really enjoyed that part, and just a great way to end it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you guys. I thought it was a great conclusion. Like Part 1, it was great storytelling, great visuals, a lot of intense action sequences, and a great lasting scene between Voldemort and Harry Potter.
I also thought how they handled Severus Snape was excellent too. Kind of how there was more to Snape than met the eye, and this film really talked about why Snape had to be this cruel, mean, betraying person was because that was kind of the person that Dumbledore and Harry's mother wanted him to be, and because they needed someone to really go through all this really difficult stuff to make sure that they had this insider for Voldemort. They had to go to extreme lengths, and as soon as Harry learns this, he really finds out why he's even stayed at the end of the film to his son, why Snape was one of the best people he's ever met in his life. So, and Seth, your favorite film of that year was The Artist. Do you want to talk to us about
There was
that?
a lot of good films. When I was picking out this list, I think for 2000, there was a lot of great films even in 2011.
Source Code was another one for me. We didn't get to talk about that one. But
Source Code.
You didn't like it? Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I know. I
Source
think
Code.
I've heard of it, but never seen it. But I heard a lot of rip-offs with it, or just people didn't like it. Anyways, for me, for 2011, like I said, a lot of good films that year, and for me, it came down to The Help and The Artist. But I think I just had to just choose The Artist because it was great, pure artistry and the works, and just it was pure acting, and it without acting. Really good acting. That film probably would never had worked.
And it was one of the first films where they really could use their voice.
It was
all
great.
told through text.
Yes, and I don't remember the last film before The Artist came out in 2011, but I don't remember the last film that was a silent film. I mean, it was technically it was I wouldn't say it was a pure silent film because at the end of the film then.
They have some talking.
John Goodman's character is like, yes, finally you made the transition. This is exactly what I wanted out of you. But I think definitely, in just to kind of give a synopsis of the film, but there's a man who was basically at the top of his game in acting, and this is during the silent era, and once he had to, once he had a transition from silent and the directors kind of found out that people were kind of growing weary of silent films, that they kind of got bored, and then they wanted to have sound, and not just music in the background, but actually they wanted to hear the actors' voices, and I think that was a big problem for his character, because I think a lot of not only himself but the directors were kind of questioning like the sound of his voice, and if audience were gonna actually like the sound of his voice. But basically in this film, it's about a man adapting to change, and at the end, going through a bunch of ups and downs and going through adversity, he was able to deal with that change and was able to become successful as when he was acting in the silent film era. So
And our favorite films for 2012, you guys. Josh and I felt that. And I'll get Josh back in the frame here.
Yes. Welcome back.
And Josh and I had Avengers as our favorite film for that year, and Seth had Argo as his favorite film of that year, which once again won Best Picture. So clearly, Seth and the Film Academy have the same taste in things, because the Best Picture winners always seem to be chosen by both of them as the same film. So, Josh, what do you think of the Avengers?
I thought it was really, really funny. And when you mix Captain America, the Hulk, Thor, Iron Man,
Black
Hawkeye, Black Widow, Nick Fury,
and all those guys.
epic, just pure epic. It was really good.
Yeah, I mean, what I really loved about that movie was kind of like with Black Swan. It was its own experience, and I mean, like, because when I was going into the film, like, how in the world are they going to have Iron Man and Thor and Captain America and Hulk all have this really effective screen time in the movie, and it's just like they managed to blend storyline and action and humor and give all these characters plenty of screen time and plenty to do. And I was also kind of iffy about Loki fitting in with this universe, because with all these different universes going on, and they fit him in really well. And I mean, it was just a lot of fun. I liked that Captain America was still kind of lost with the present day technology. He's like, oh yeah, I understand that reference and all that kind of stuff. And Thor is kind of oh, what's that? I don't understand this Earth thing going on here. And Hulk was still trying to understand himself. And Tony Stark is still being Tony Stark, so you can't go wrong with that. Yeah, it was just a really, really well done film, and it's definitely a film where I never felt bored. I was always happy with it. Every second of the film, I was happy with it, whether it was emotion or development or action or character development. It was just Josh Whedon managed to balance all of it in this film, and as a result, we got one of the best films of the year.
Yeah, we have an army. Yeah. No, we have army. We have a Hulk.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I can't really add much more to what these guys have said. They said it perfectly, and for me, it was definitely a great film.
Were you kind of different? I would almost kind of say characters being in the same movie.
It's funny because I felt the same way. I felt like they collaborate all these great superheroes, Iron Man, Hulk, etc. And I thought it was going to be a good film, but I felt like I thought it was definitely going to be a money grabber film. But I thought it was going to be a flop in regards to storytelling, but they were able to pull it off. They pulled it off nicely, and it actually happened to be even better than all their. To me, I thought The Avengers was actually the best Marvel film that that they ever released, maybe of all time, and it just worked nicely in the
end. And Seth, you had Argo as your favorite film for 2012. You want to tell us why?
Yeah, Argo. Now, of course, I don't want to choose Argo just because I agree with the Film Academy, but that'd just be stupid. But yeah, Argo for me, it was great. There was just so many good films, out of that year too. I can say, I could have easily chose like, Avengers is great. The Dark Knight Rises, an epic conclusion to an excellent trilogy by Christopher Nolan. But I decided to go with an original story that was based off of a real event. I believe it took place. It was the
Iranian hostage situation in the late 70s.
Yep, in the late 70s, and it was very gripping. It was emotional. It was great storytelling. There was a lot of moments in the film, like where, once the director, played by Ben Affleck, I don't know. Actually, didn't he play the producer?
He directed it in.
Well, no. He directed the film, but
Tony Mendez in real life. I think he pretended to be the producer.
But in the film, Tony Mendez, who worked for the CIA, before he came up with those ideas, like, well, why don't we just pose it as a fake movie? And they were going through magazines and newspapers, and eventually, him and
director played by Alan Arkin.
A director, played by Alan Arkin.
I think John Goodman was a producer too.
Well, technically, he was kind of out of the game. He was retired.
Yeah.
And they were just kind of looking for someone to...
Because they needed a big name director.
Yeah. And then they had John Goodman as a producer. But anyways, they were going through magazines and newspapers, and they're trying to figure out this name. And eventually, they came up on this this throwaway sci-fi script, and it was called Argo. and Tony Mendez had presented this idea to them, and he's like, it's like, well, why Argo? It's like, well, you know what? Right now, what's so popular in the film industry, not alone just comics, just in regards to just interest level, was like Star Wars, Star Trek, this idea of like science fiction, and it worked. They were able to get these storyboards created. And they were able to get like an actual real script. They were able to get let everybody, and they even marketed the film right before they ended up going overseas to help out to bring the hostages back home. And yeah, it was just a well put, well acted, directed film, and there was a really good reason why it won Best Picture.
And Josh, have you seen Argo? Okay. But yeah, I really agree with Seth. It was very well done. I personally, and I actually talked to some people who felt the same way. I personally felt there was something about it. There's like a middle, maybe 25-minute section that's just like, okay, they could have edited this or they could have done it better. But for the most part, yeah, very well done movie. The scene with, and I know this part of the movie was fake. They made this up just to make the film work better. The scene where they're trying to leave the airport, that scene was awesome.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's like, oh, that's such a generic Hollywood movie. Yeah. No, that scene, I was like, oh my God, they're not going to escape. They're not going to escape.
Yeah, I know. And it was great because, it kind of reminds me, once they did escape, it's just one of those films like if you ever
see those guys driving up with the guns, like, oh my God, they're really not going to get away.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. They're on the, like the airplane, like the luggage cars.
Yeah. And I thought another thing I really liked about the film was Alan Arkin. Every line that man had was funny. It was effective. And it's like, and
it was funny because like anytime like it was like, hey, Argo, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But anyways, they would always use that that key word or like that code name. It's like, hey, Argo, go f yourself is a go. And so they they added comedy. They added intense moments.
Right.
Just like the ending scene like Tom was talking about. And
Bryan Cranston was in it too, so you can't go wrong.
But
Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad.
I guess like he was talking about the ending scene, like
you know
how
Bryan Cranston is. Yeah, the guy from Breaking Bad.
Yeah. I think with this film, there are moments where you can definitely tell that Hollywood definitely dramatized a little bit over a bit, but in this case, it worked and it was done right.
So, guys, that was our top 10 favorite films of the past 10 years. So we don't know if we're going to make another video together, but either way. Hope you guys enjoyed this series of videos, and we'll see you guys for next time.
See you later.